Hi, and welcome to Enchantment of Eternity's review for The Walking Dead Season 6, Episode 16, Last Day on Earth. This video is a part of a series of videos where I review episodes of The Walking Dead, so I'll have to give a spoiler warning for The Walking Dead up to Season 6, Episode 16, so pretty much all of Season 6. If you haven't seen all of Season 6, you may not want to watch this video, otherwise some things may be spoiled for you. So, my god, that is some pure bullshit right there, I'll tell you what. You know, I was actually really enjoying this episode. I was ready to declare this one of the best episodes of the series, but it was ruined by that absolute horrible ending, which was extremely unacceptable. That's not how you end a fucking TV show. It's just not, it's not just that it was a cliffhanger. It was the way they pulled off the cliffhanger. It was so goddamn contrived. I'm seriously questioning whether or not I want to continue watching this show now, but I'll get more into that later. So now let me go through the episode as I normally do. So let's get into the Carol and Morgan stuff first, because this was a side plot that didn't really affect the main plot, and it went down pretty much as I thought it would, that Morgan and Carol go off on their own little adventure and start their own storyline as they meet up with a group of people from a place comic book readers are telling me is called the Kingdom. So hopefully that will lead to something interesting. So the rest of the storyline was something typically I wouldn't like, you know, about one person trying to bring another person back, but I actually thought it really worked here. I thought they built up a nice dynamic between Carol and Morgan that was quite interesting, as many blame Morgan for Carol feeling the way that she does now, where she's sick of killing. So it was interesting that Morgan had to confront her and tell her people were still worth sticking out for. And of course, it was also interesting that Morgan had to kill someone to save her, and thus kind of proved Carol's point that when you care about someone, you have to kill people in order to protect them. But of course, Carol's at an absolute low point now where she's, you know, she just wants to die, and plus she's been shot several times. But I think that next season we'll start to see her pull out of this line of thinking and come back to the Carol that we know and love. So, getting to the rest of it. So, at the start of the episode, I kind of knew whatever happened wouldn't happen in Alexandria, because pretty much all of the main characters left Alexandria in an RV on a mission to take Maggie to Hilltop to get her medical treatment, leaving Father Gabriel, of all people, in charge of their defenses. And the only other people we know still behind is like Spencer and Tobin and maybe a few others that no one really cares about. Hell, even Aaron insisted on going with them. So this seemed to be the premise of the episode, that a bunch of them go for an RV ride in order to get Maggie to a doctor as she's in poor condition. So they find their way blocked by the Saviors, and Rick tries to negotiate, and they're all just like, oh, give me all your stuff, no negotiation. So Rick tells them to get fucked and then turns around. I did like that little jab Rick said about how none of them needs to die, and then corrected himself and was like, no more of you need to die. That was a nice little jab. So they get in the RV, turn around, and find another route. That too was blocked by an even larger group of Saviors, so they then turn around and find another route. But this is blocked by a group of chained zombies, which some of them had something from Daryl and Michonne telling them that the Saviors have them. And then when Rick goes to kill the zombies, they get fired on. Rick notes that they're shooting at their feet rather than trying to kill them. But Maggie's condition starts to worsen, so it becomes more urgent for them to find another way to Hilltop. So they try another way, and it's blocked by a makeshift dam of logs that was obviously built by the Saviors. And then they hang this random guy just to show how badass they are, and then they set the dam on fire. And then the guy who first met them calls out and taunts them. So then they turn around, but they realize that if they try one of the two routes that are left, they will probably just be blocked as well, so they need a new strategy. So Eugene comes up with a plan that if they take Maggie and continue on foot with her while Eugene takes the RV and distracts the Saviors to make them think that they're all still in the RV. And this was a very touching moment where Eugene is essentially sacrificing himself to save them all. In fact, I almost teared up at this moment. But just like everything else in this episode, it was undone by what came next. But before I get into that, let me just explain that at this point in the episode, I was loving it. I was thinking, what a great finale it was, because the tension was building. I was so on edge the whole time, thinking anyone could die at any moment. And this was one of the creepiest episodes of The Walking Dead ever. I've always said that people are always much scarier than zombies in this world, and this was an absolutely amazing way to build the tension, so I was fully impressed. After walking for a while in the forest with Maggie, they say they're only a few miles away, and then they hear the creepy calls from the Saviors, who then completely surround them, and they have no choice but to surrender. In fact, the RV is there, and they have Eugene captive, and then they pull out a van with Michonne, Daryl, and all of them who were taken captive in the previous episode, and then they have them all get on their knees and line up together. So it's pretty much every main character in the show, pretty much. Okay, so first of all, I have several major issues with this, as there's no fucking way on God's green earth the Saviors could have fucking pulled this off. No way! I don't give a fuck how many men they have. There's no way they could have predicted all these precise moves unless they're like have omniscient godlike powers. They must be like Q or something like that. I mean, how the hell did they even know that they would be trying to get the Hilltop so badly? Did they use their psychic abilities to deduce that Maggie was dying and they'd be desperate to get the Hilltop? And for that matter, how the fuck would they know that they don't have their own doctor? Secondly, I'm not buying that they have this many men. This portrayal of the Saviors is totally inconsistent with how they've been portrayed so far, which has a bunch of incompetent morons who are very easily killed. As Rick and the gang has already killed a fuck ton of them, and if they were this godlike all along, Rick should have never succeeded as much as he did. You know, fuck, the Alexandrians should have encountered such a large godlike group ages ago! So I'm calling major BS on this, first off. So, they're a bunch of easily killable assholes, and now, all of a sudden, they have magical godlike powers and are impossible to defeat. Which the fuck is it, Walking Dead? You can't have it both ways. So, finally, we meet Negan, and he gives this long, ever long speech about how they all work for him now, and half of their stuff belongs to him, and he doesn't want to kill them because that would be a waste, as he'd rather they work for him. But one of them needs to die as punishment for all of his men that they killed. Now, I like this speech. Negan was kind of scary. I like the actor who played them, and this speech was really tension building, but it went on for far too long, and more to the point, it was so obviously contrived on trying to build suspense on who he was going to kill. I mean, the way they built the last part of the speech where he was getting into who was going to kill was so fucking contrived. I mean, they switched back and forth with the shots and the eeny, meeny, miny, mo, and showing close-up of each person with the bat in front of them. I mean, come the fuck on! Could they have possibly been more obvious on building the tension of who's going to die? I mean, give me a fucking break. But then the worst thing that could possibly happen happens. They show a point of view shot of Negan killing someone, making it unclear who it is as he beats them to death. My god, what the fuck were they thinking? My fucking show, this is so much fucking bullshit. How can they fucking think this is okay? Fuck them, fuck this show, fuck everyone involved in this show. But seriously, this ending was complete and total unacceptable. Completely unacceptable. In no possible universe or thought of perception is this remotely okay. This is the biggest bullshit bullshit the show has ever done. And I'll be perfectly honest, I no longer care who is killed. I don't care. The show succeeded entirely in killing all of my expectations and interest to find out who will die. You know, I bet it's fucking Aaron. Not that, I have anything against him, but come on, he's kind of a minor character in the grand scheme of things, and one of the most important original Alexandrians left in this show, and the show seems obsessed with killing off all the Alexandrians, so I bet it's him. And I don't even care about all the speculation on who died, and people trying to replay the scene over and over again, look for clues. Oh, you can tell this person's sounds, you can hear this guy's voice, or you can see the camera lingers on this person this long. That's bullshit. That's what they want you to do. Don't fall into their trap. And I fucking guarantee you that it makes no difference whatsoever, and it's all just red herrings, and they're just going to kill whoever the fuck they want. And mark my words, it will probably be Aaron, because The Walking Dead doesn't even have the balls to kill any major characters anymore. They just love to kill off the minor ones nobody gives a shit about. So, this episode could have been great. It could have been fantastic. I was expecting some major shit to go down. Maybe even several major deaths, and I was expecting a major conflict between Alexandrians and the Saviors to set up, but instead they repeated a story beat that the show has already done like a million times. I mean, watch the scene with Negan, then watch the scene where Gareth is about to kill someone at Terminus. It's the same damn scene! And this is also the same damn thing as when the Claim people had Rick in the others' handcuffs and were about to kill them. And of course, The Walking Dead would repeat plot points because that's what they always do. The whole show has become nothing but a giant repeat of everything that came before. I'm sorry, but this was not the way to go. This would have been so much more interesting, if they would have set up a situation where they were both sort of equal and we had like this standoff situation, but instead they gave the Saviors godlike powers, which is completely inconsistent with everything that we've seen of them so far. I thought they were going to have this standoff where they're both equally matched and it was going to lead to this all-out war storyline. But no, that would have been so much more interesting. So, as for my rating for this episode, throughout most of it, I wanted to give this episode a 10. But after that totally unacceptable ending, I wanted to give this episode a 1. But I will be fair and take into account that before that unacceptable ending, this episode was actually really good. So to be fair, I'll give it a 4 poor. The absolute worst ending of any Walking Dead episode has ever had, and the worst cliffhanger any show in existence has ever had. But to be fair, it was really good at building tension and creating atmosphere of creepiness before the BS ending, and I honestly am seriously questioning whether or not I want to continue watching this show, because I kind of feel like a sucker to continue to fall for the same con job over and over again. I think it's time maybe to quit the habit, because that ending, man, that was just the biggest F you the showrunners could possibly give fans, and I just want to say F you right back. And I gotta say, this past half season was one big drawn out cock tease where they just drew out the storyline to be slow and boring when they should have fucking introduced Negan ages ago. And that's another way this episode was so contrived, in that they had to wait to the finale to reveal Negan. Not just that, they had to wait till the last 10 minutes of the finale to reveal him, which is so contrived. It shoves it in my face that I'm watching a TV show with schedules and gimmicks rather than immersing me in a great story with a world I can buy into. Instead, I'm watching a TV show with some dickhead writer being, oh, let's put this villain at the end of the episode, it'll be cool, and let's not even show who dies. Fuck you. So, anyway, last week I ran a bet where people would predict who would die in this episode, but because of this total BS, it's rendered moot. I mean, not even the people who said no one was killed was correct, because someone was killed, we just don't know who that was. Of course, I could simply hold the bets over until season 7, but that's not until October, and it's just one person, so it's only about, who put that person the highest on the list. And plus, like I said, I simply don't even care who died anymore. So that's it for Last Day on Earth review. I'll be here next week for my full review on The Walking Dead Season 6, and I will be reviewing Fear the Walking Dead when that starts next week. And also, we'll be doing a discussion video with Don Willie and Josh from Geeksiders, formerly known as Geek On Reviews, which will probably be over on their channel this Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will try not to be so negative in that and be a bit more positive, but you all should check that out. And check out my channel for more videos on shows like Game of Thrones, Star Trek, Better Call Saul, Vikings, Daredevil, and more. And be sure to subscribe so you can keep up with all that and hear some more of my rants. And thanks a lot.